My name is Nene Mahlangu and I'm a visual artist that is based in Johannesburg, South Africa. My earliest artistic memory was one where my mother dropped me over at my grandmother's house. I remember she was in a hurry because she had errands to run and she left me at the gate. And when I walked into the gate into my grandmother's house, I think my grandmother was not expecting to see me that early. So when I opened the door, I was just caught by surprise because there were so many paintings all over the house. And I remember being blown away because I didn't know my grandmother painted, and also the paintings were so beautiful and there were so many. And that day was the day I think I started to see in color, because I saw a different side of her that I had never seen before, and it also kind of revealed a different side of me that I had never really encountered before. And I think from then I started to see things and I started to see her differently. And yeah, that's a very beautiful artistic memory that I hold very dear to my heart. The turning point in my career so far has been me taking on a new medium and expressing myself in painting. I think introducing color to my work has helped me to express myself in a much richer and a much vibrant way, in a way that I didn't have access to before. And I feel like a whole new world has opened up because of that. My creative process is not linear. Like one day is not the same as the next. So I love looking at different kinds of references. Cindy Sherman has been my latest influence with my work because of her powerful portraiture. I look at her work because I want to make my portraiture paintings as impactful as her photographs. So I look at photography, I look at fashion, I look at design and architecture, and I pull all of those references and try to derive meaning from them. And once I do, I then try to sketch out some drafts to see what kind of painting I will make. And once I'm satisfied with the draft or the planning, then I'll start to put paint to canvas. But sometimes I'm lucky enough to know exactly what I want the moment I wake up, and other times it takes a bit of digging. What that come to mind when I think about I am and nothing else is God, affirmation, and potential. So the themes and messages in my work in general, I think I'm very fascinated about the things that we choose to hide and the things that we choose to reveal as people. I think life is a constant play of revealing and hiding of certain things about ourselves, and that kind of dialogue that we have with ourselves and the environments around us is something that I find extremely fascinating. I also find it interesting how, especially with clothing, even though it is an instrument that hides our naked bodies, it's fascinating for me how when people have dazzling clothing, there's a certain perception that they don't go through bad things. Like the shinier the person looks, the more problems they don't have. I find that interrelation especially very interesting. But in this body of work, I was just going into themes of getting older and the thoughts and feelings that I go through. In terms of that, especially as a woman, there are so many things in play about, let's say, turning a year older and what that means for as a woman. I think for this body of work, for this exhibition, I was really thinking about the concept of getting older. And although I'm still relatively young, I find it fascinating how when you're a woman, that concept is very loud in society, and the nuances of dread and celebration and dread that come with that. There are themes that I try to explore with this body of work. I think the concept of stepping into my power is something that I will be figuring out for the rest of my life. But in this current state of my life, how I understand it is that I need to accept the things that I have, and I need to use what I have to the best of my ability. I think by accepting the things that I have been given, that is a form of power, and embracing that and moving forward with very intentional steps is a form of power. Well, to me, it is. And how does my work speak to that? I think the body of work that I'll be exhibiting in this exhibition speaks to that, because part of accepting who you are is also accepting those imperfect emotions and imperfect feelings that come with living. And if you can embrace the imperfect feelings as well as those great positive feelings, then you have no choice but to be a powerhouse moving forward. I think it's very important and it's very powerful for African female artists to represent themselves, to see women art through the lens of women. I think it gives a different dimension as to how women are defined. And even if you look at history, at portraiture, for example, how the male used to represent the female figure, and once the women started to do portraiture, how the way they represented themselves was, it had a little bit more dignity. And I think that lens, that shift in lens, is extremely important, because it also displays how the rest of the world gets to see us, because even the rest of the world, because of media and the news and propaganda and etc., they have their own perception of how African women are supposed to be, and for us to represent ourselves the way we want to and beautifully, I think it's a very strong message that we're sending out to the world, and it's a very much needed one. Which one is my favorite work? I think personally the one with the Polaroids, because of the honesty of it, the vulnerability of it, and the emotions behind it, the imperfections in it, the realness in it. I really like that. I really like how confrontational it is and how introspective it is. Yeah, I love that piece. And I'm proud of myself for bearing my emotions on canvas like that. I'm very proud of myself for doing that.